it transcribes.
Oh, into text?
So I was able to send the whole
The transcript.
transcription, which was,
No.
so I thought might help with meeting minutes for Bernie.
Look at Abe's got his own camera there.
Long agenda.
Oh, waiting room, that's right. 3 people are in the waiting room.
Tim O'Reilly, right?
Oh, good.
And Scott.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Scott.
Hey,
Is Tim
And-
O'Reilly?
Yep. Well,
Somewhere.
I saw his name.
I thought he was for a second there,
Second.
and then he disappeared.
Oh, that was Tim Bourne.
That was Tim Bourne.
No, there was a Tim O'Reilly.
Tim's here. I can see him.
hey.
You
Yeah,
can see him?
yep.
Can you hear me, hearing me now?
Yeah, we can
Oh,
hear
I can
you.
hear you.
2 Tims.
All right, today's May 6th. This is the North Hero Parks and Recreation monthly meeting. Let's all introduce ourselves for the recording. Jean Metherall, Chair.
Bernie Scutel, retired secretary. Mary's a birthday member.
Michael Clausen, member. Evan Meenan, member.
John Scutel, member.
And online?
Tim Bourne, Select Board.
Tim O'Reilly, member.
Hey, there you are, Tim.
Scott Sainsbury, member.
All right. Anyone else? I didn't see anybody else come in. Okay, any adjustments to the agenda? Okay, next up is the April 1st meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And seeing no visitors, we'll move past the public comment too. Okay, starting out with Camp Ingalls. We had an insurance inspection a couple weeks ago. I sent around the report.
Yep.
This is a liability and property inspection, and it's done by VCLT. The only 2 comments he had for the, he really enjoyed the place, but the
I
only
was
2.
gonna say, his best comment was how much Camp Ingalls reminded him of the summer camp that he went to.
And he kept pointing out to the the building, how it was done, and it was great. But the only 2 things that he's making a recommendation on for us to fix is the ramp on the longhouse. And one item is, he suggests us putting a round railing, the length of it, because the railing that we have is squared off and high. And for ADA compliance, it needs to be down lower, and I don't know if I sent it around, but he did include a diagram.
Yeah, I have,
You got it.
I know the regs.
So that's one component, and the only other recommendation he had is that we get it power washed.
And that, they did that last year.
Yeah.
Ada and.
They
Michael
did power
that,
wash it
yeah.
last year.
So I'm wondering if he can do it again.
They'll do it again when they clean June 2nd, I believe.
Is it in the plan for
Yeah.
him to do?
Yeah.
Oh.
We can remind
We
him,
can
because he
remind him.
did it because he was power washing the
For the
wall.
painting.
Yeah, right.
And so just, we
We'll
can
remind
add
him
that
to do
to their startup.
That green stuff goes really quickly.
Mm.
If it's, in the shade like it is.
Now, we already knew about the fire, the
Extinguishers.
extinguishers in there. What's been happening in the past is that the fire extinguishers at Ingalls were done at the same time that they were done at the garage and a few other places, the library and stuff. And I think we got missed last year. I had it on my list to find out what was going on with that. And so Corinne is trying to coordinate that across the entire township to get them all done at the same time. We actually have 3 of them there. The last time we had it inspected, I only knew about the 2, the front and the back door. There's actually one in the storeroom too, and I don't know
Oh, okay.
what that was
I
for.
think that was a spare.
That was a spare.
Yeah.
I know the 2 that he did last 2 years ago, he recharged or gave us new ones. I think he gave us new ones.
Yeah,
and
we
swapped
we
them
have
out.
3 there. In case one gets used, then we have a
So
third.
the third one might need recharging since the others are, but they gotta come and inspect.
Are they
And-
gonna have a field cabin?
No, there aren't any in the field cabin, probably because we don't have any fire or any.
There's
there,
nothing,
the-
there's no
We
ignition
do
sources.
have
or no-
electrical there.
There's electrical.
There's electrical there. I
Should we
guess.
move that one down?
Oh, we could do that.
Why don't we do that?
Okay,
So I'm waiting to hear
I'll
from,
take care of that.
okay,
And it
I'm waiting to
is-
hear from Corinne on the timing of when they'd be coming out. It's another company that comes and does that fire alert or something alert.
Yeah.
Did somebody online say something?
I was just gonna say, it's good to have one that can be put by the fireplace anytime someone uses the fireplace.
Well, he actually recommended them to be at the doors because you're going away from the fire or coming in from outdoors to fight it. And so he's actually recommending they be at the 2 doors.
And that's fine.
On the railing, John, would want to take a look at that or
I'll
does
take
somebody
a
else
look
want
at
to?
that, and I knew that was an issue a while ago. I'll just see if I can get a stock railing or I can get one welded up.
No,
Right.
he
It has
was,
to be metal?
no,
Well, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't.
Can it
it has to
have
be
to be.
round, it has to be round.
Has to
so
be
that-
round, it has to be 1.5 inches, has to be 1.5 inches off of the,
Let's go to
Post.
Lowe's and look.
huh?
Let's go and look at Lowe's maybe.
But the ends have to be returned also. so-
I might have some in my basement that we're not using.
Oh,
If you, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long a section needs to be. I would guess this is between 15 and 20 feet long.
oh, this is,
Plenty.
And
probably-
it has, the
4
right
feet
angles
deep.
on the end,
Oh.
so it comes in. If you want, I mean,
yeah,
Meet you
take
there.
a look at it, just give me a call. and
Okay.
I'll go over and,
yeah, I can give you a call, what's your number?
802-370-1760.
1 second.
No, just to be clear, we're not required to put this in because he actually asked the question. Whether we use it just to, or the ramp to bring stuff in
It's a handicap,
versus,
no, it's a,
well, we didn't, if we're not designating it that, but I told him.
it is, we have
just-
it's a handicap parking space right there.
I told him we were gonna do it because I don't want,
Yeah.
we don't want any more questions.
Right.
But just to be clear, if
When we
There
did
was
have
an-
that senior dinner over there, that luncheon, when Louise was here, we had a lot of people, who.
Using that.
Needed that. yeah.
Well, I agree that we need it. I just want to be clear that.
Yeah, I always
That was
thought we
his
needed one
position.
on the building side too, but I guess code wise, you only need one on one side.
Okay, anything else on the insurance and fire extinguishers? Okay, snowshoe return. Some mysterious person brought 6 snowshoes pairs back to the town office.
Really?
One of
She
them
might have
even had
checked them.
tags on them. They
Like
had never been
price tag?
used.
Price tag thing?
Well, the informational.
They
Yeah.
might have donated them.
No, it was somebody that used to be on the committee, and from what I could understand from Lisa, Corinne was calling this person Ethan. Do you know?
Oh, yeah,
Ethan?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Ethan.
Ethan, yeah,
He did a lot of theater.
yeah, he
And
was.
But that was a
here
long time
a
ago.
long time ago.
Well, he
He's been
returned
here,
them.
right?
Yeah,
Lovely.
Ethan Pearson, yeah.
okay, they're probably the gigantic. whole-
No,
No,
there's
they're
some of
nice
those, the
Yeah,
blue
well,
gray
great.
ones.
Okay,
Oh.
so what should I do? Pick them up?
No, I already brought them to the library,
Oh,
okay.
perfect.
but I just didn't, I was just trying, we were trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Okay, on the trail steward cleanup, it went very well. There is a down tree on the route towards the vernal pool that's been across the trail.
Oh,
Yeah.
for a
But,
while.
we had an electric chainsaw, but didn't have a real one and it needs a real.
Yeah,
chainsaw.
it's pretty like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's big.
Does
I
anyone,
think we can, why don't we'll include that when we're doing the wood chips, cause I'll have the tractor there.
okay. And we had about 6 people show up, even though it was a rainy day. But, and there wasn't a whole lot to do. We did clean up all the sticks and the, leaves from the front.
Yeah, oh, good, that's really good.
Yeah.
That has to be done all the time, especially after we get a big wind thing. And
Perry's asking about the garlic mustard pole, Mary Jo?
Yeah, she has asked me before and I told her I would let her know.
Okay,
But I hadn't decided yet. I just was in touch with Bernie about when I did it last year. And it was in the middle of May, but I think things are growing really slowly. I have garlic mustard in my area, it's only about this high.
okay.
So I'm thinking of the last Saturday, maybe the 24th, although is that Memorial Day weekend? Or is that? Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't think that would be good, because I don't think I'd get a whole lot of people. We just check.
my garlic mustard is like about this,
Yeah, but it's, it's easy, it really doesn't seed for a long, long time.
Okay.
So it's nice if it's high in terms of.
It's easier to pull.
pulling, it's
You have to
easier
bend over, so.
Just-
Memorial Day,
actually,
the
Monday's
26th. Memorial Day is the
Memorial-
26th.
The 26th is Memorial Day.
Okay, so I think I
That's
should.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, so I don't really want to do it that 24th. I think I'll do it on the 17th.
May
And honestly,
seventeenth.
we may have to go back or, I'll do that, but,
Are you gonna advertise that?
I am, yeah.
And she'll send
yeah.
out a,
Yeah, I'll put it on a front porch forum and then there's some people who come regularly and I use email them, I'll put it a
Okay,
couple times on front porch forum. I'm, very briefly because it's long, but I'm thinking of, the really concentrated wildflower patch. I think we're just gonna pull like we usually do. I talked to you about that, Terry. But I'd like to experiment a little bit from what, Jack Markowski was telling me. They're not pulling garlic anymore.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I kind of found an article is that it roughs up the soil and that's really good for seeds to start. So I thought we would just do the wildflowers, because I don't want them to kill them out the regular way. And then I thought we could just leave, a part on the other side of, the far side, the beginning of the story wall, and just see if Jack's theory that he read about is true and that eventually it dies out. And then I'd like to take another little patch and just cut off instead of pulling them out because of the rough thing, is to just take, whatever you call them, clippers, and just cut them and just let them fall, because they won't be seeding anyway, and do it that way.
okay,
Great, try it.
Well,
Good
yeah.
experiment.
Can't hurt, and the important part, we'll make sure we do the regular way and see which one's best.
Well, Kramer came really needs it. Needs it for their beer.
Yeah, he only needed one bag and he got like 3 or 4. He had several people picking for him last year.
Okay, well,
Mary Jo, maybe you could let Kramer and Kin know, because they used those one year, didn't they?
Yeah, they do every year.
Every
Yeah,
Yeah,
Their
they
mom-
might send some people.
they
The-
do.
their
There's
mother
another-
comes.
Okay.
Barb.
Mrs. Kramer comes.
Mhm.
Yeah, with
Son,
with the
grandson.
grandson, yeah. I'll do that.
What kind of beer do they make? What do they call it? Let's see.
Garlic mustard.
Garlic mustard.
It's just a Pilsner, I think, with
Oh,
garlic
okay.
mustard, yeah.
Some people came just so we'd have it. And so Levi didn't know there were so many people picking for him.
Are you will you let Terry know and then
I
she
will.
can send out a message?
Yeah,
It is edible too.
it is.
That's how it got here, isn't it? And
I
people
think
were,
so, yeah.
Probably got health benefits from the old days too.
Greens, early spring greens.
Being the name.
Okay.
and then wood chips we'll deal with later. I just wanna,
Yeah,
on
I'll
here.
coordinate that with Terry.
okay.
Yeah,
I think she's trying to bird in May, so.
Yeah.
April,
it'll
June
be,
might be
it'll
good.
be June or.
Do you wanna talk about your trees, your shrubs?
Oh. I, through the Northwest, can't remember the name of it, Resource Center, whatever. I purchased 6, pollinate shrubs that are really good for pollinators, snowberry, witch hazel, and
Dogwood.
dogwood. A dogwood that is not like you would think of a dogwood in, say, Connecticut or something, but more like a sort of a red spreading,
Oh, the red osier
Yeah,
dogwoods?
red osier.
Yeah, we got 5 of those ourselves. Yeah,
Well, let's see how they grow.
yeah, well, my fingers are crossed. to
Yeah,
have
mine
them.
are too. They're like
They do
tiny
grow.
little. What?
They do grow.
They do grow,
Apparently
okay.
pretty quickly.
I planted them along the north side of the field. The field soil was as hard as cement, trying to dig them in. It was, but it's sort of very close to Heather Bickford's property. So along that sort of north side. So
Nice.
I hope they grow.
Thanks. Very nice.
The new map sign for the kiosk in Ingalls is up,
They,
and we have the Longhouse and Field Cabin cleaning on the 2nd of June. Can she get
Yeah,
her bill to us ASAP right after?
yeah, yeah. for
Yeah,
sure.
to get it in. for
Yeah,
the-
Cause
for this, yeah.
she waited like 6 months last time.
All right, I will explain to her why we need to get it.
Or actually, she can put it in before.
Yeah, she can send it to me before.
Mhm. Okay, the cabin. I picked up a garbage bag full of the roof the
Mhm.
other day.
Well, that's been getting
Coming
bad
off,
for the past
yeah,
2 years.
so we really need to,
Tracy said he's willing to do that
oh, yes, on the
Yeah.
side, right?
on the side. yeah.
Okay,
So, I will, contact him about that.
can we get the materials this month so that we can
We
pay it out
can.
of this
We can.
year's budget?
And, I'm proposing we do a metal roof.
Okay,
Already authorized us to need money. didn't it?
I think we did,
Yeah,
yeah.
I recall
yep. No, we were waiting on an estimate.
Okay,
We didn't pre-approve. I'd put a number of 1,500, but I
yeah,
don't know if
okay.
it's anywhere
I'll,
close. Do you wanna pre-approve up to 2,000 and then, do you think that's,
yeah, let's pre-approve up to 2,000. And, so I make a motion that we pre-approve up to 2,000 for a new metal roof for the field cabin.
second, Michael.
and just wanna state that's just for materials.
Yeah,
We'll have to have a second bill for his time,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Correct.
So we got second, any other comments? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, did we want to do something on the fence this?
yeah, we should, I don't know if we'll be able to get it done right
Yeah.
now. Let's just table that and see if we can get an estimate from Middlebury Fence or somebody that can basically inspect that whole fence and fix it.
Okay,
So,
It's not, we're not gonna, we'll table it for right now.
right, but you would call Middlebury Fence.
Yeah.
okay.
Are they local?
Middlebury.
Is there,
They're the main chain link. There might be some local guys, but they're the main chain link fence.
They do
people
come up, I know they come up here, because I think I mentioned last time, they did
Okay.
my fence in the last
Yeah,
All right.
30 days.
yeah,
or
they're
something like
they're all
that.
over,
Yeah,
yeah.
turned out really.
And I was putting the pumpkins off till next fall or something like
Yeah,
that, if
next
everyone
fall, yeah.
agrees.
Yep.
All right, kitchen,
Did we pre-approve some material?
$800 for materials.
So I will order some material to have there.
Okay. I have the bathroom latch on here because somebody was using it the other day when we were, the trail stewards were there and said it was catching or something. I couldn't get it to do it, but I didn't know if somebody was there, they could take a look at it.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay, we do need to make sure that kids can get out. of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That's the-
and that, I think that was the concern.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard for them to use that, you know, just think they don't
They just don't get how to use
how to
it.
use it, but then they scream anyway, so there's, you know, we know they're in there. They're not quiet about it.
All right, Mary Jo, you had some questions last time about the rental process of Camp Ingle.
Yeah, I did. I was at Tracy's house, and, she had just gone over to the community hall. She's a resident, just for your information. She was very instrumental in not getting the community hall bulldozed many years, well, several years ago. And so she helps with the rentals of it. And the woman was from Spectrum, and she had some kids coming to do some activity, you know, physical activity that was either indoors or outdoors. And I think she rented this space for, I don't know, an hour or two. And she said, this woman from Spectrum told Tracy that she wanted to do it at Ingles, but it was just too expensive. So
The insurance is what's expensive. And it's required.
but it's a not-for-profit, right? I mean, it's a whole different one. It's cheaper. You can go
Yeah.
through LC, you know, cities of,
Right.
you know, it's really expensive. If you're making money on it. 'cause-
Well, if it's a not-for-profit, we have the rental is pretty cheap, right?
Yeah, but there's still the insurance.
But
I
you
think.
still have to get the insurance.
And that's required with the LTC. So
Yeah,
And that's not our requirement.
It's not our.
Yeah.
So each of the renters is responsible for procuring their own
Through
insurance for the
the
event.
Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
I see,
unless it's sponsored by us.
I see.
But
Or
my
if it's a
question,
school thing,
yeah,
right?
if it's a
Yeah,
school thing,
If
right?
it's a school thing, then we
Yeah.
don't.
But my other question, because when I went to look to see, because I really didn't know what
Yeah.
it was off the top of my head. And I saw that there was no hourly rental.
No,
Didn't we talk about doing, I remember looking into the community halls hourly rental for profits and nonprofits. But, you know, still, I guess you'd have to have the insurance for that as well.
Yeah,
right.
but it's really unfortunate that
Yeah.
it's so expensive because, you know, you wanted to use it too and.
Yeah, but this was not for nonprofit.
Yeah,
That
but
was,
for
Yeah.
nonprofits,
It's-
especially for school or
Yeah, right.
oriented organizations.
I just thought that Spectrum, you know, in that it dealt with, you know, kids at risk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it would be so nice to be able to do that.
I know. Anyway.
I don't know,
she
too,
uses
maybe,
I mean, I wonder if an organization like that can just, like, I'm sure they have their own insurance
I would,
policy,
yeah.
so I mean,
like a school.
right, so I would say like, well,
They would
know, like
just
a
be
school.
offsite, yeah.
right, like,
Yeah.
is there any way that they could get some sort of endorsement rider to their own insurance policy to cover an event like that, so that they don't have to pay a third-party entity?
And they can, that is an
Yeah.
option, but you know, the other option for most people, they don't have that.
Right.
So they go through the Vermont
Yeah.
League of Cities and
And
Towns.
if I tried to get it, just, two friends are gonna do the spiritual event over there, it's a perfect place. And for, Friday and Saturday, it would have been almost $2,000.
Oh, wow.
Because interestingly, they said, will there be a fire? I said, well, we might have a fire pit, we have one there.
Yeah.
And that was that, although I could have mixed that, but it was the massage therapist. That you know, because I went
What
to
do you-
my
It
insurance,
was because of that?
because
you
of
were having-
that and the fire.
That's interesting.
$2,000 is a lot to take off the top, so anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was with me all day Saturday and, you know, Friday
Yeah.
night and
How about
Saturday.
if I contact, Vermont League of Cities and Towns?
Sure.
And double check on that,
Yeah.
especially for nonprofits involving.
I think so,
children.
yeah, I think.
Okay.
that
Because I
would
would
be
also
good.
think like a massage therapist would have their own insurance policy, so if they had an insurance binder they could provide to the league,
Yeah,
I
it's
would
a
think
binder,
something like
yeah,
that
I
would
don't know, yeah.
suffice. So, I mean, to me, that's the question is like, at what point does an entity's own insurance policy cover use of the camp? Or what would they have to do to get it to cover instead of purchasing
Probably
covers?
a rider wouldn't be too much, I
I
don't know.
wouldn't think
Well,
so.
we ran into that with the indivisible thing too, having childcare.
Yeah,
It's an insurance issue.
right,
So unless it's a childcare provider coming in
right, right.
and that has their
Their
own
own
insurance,
policy.
we can't just have teachers or qualified people doing childcare.
In the school you can, I think, but we're not allowed,
No.
individuals are not allowed in
Yeah.
schools, yeah. I know that.
So it is kind of a conundrum that we're dealing with this litigation issues all over the place.
Yeah. So I'm gonna see if I can get in touch with that woman from Spectrum, Tracy might know her name, just, or Spectrum anyway, just to see.
They do
If-
such good things with
I
kids.
know, the thing is that none of the kids showed up, I don't think, I think it was one of those no-show things.
Boy, I guess it's good they saved the money. right?
I don't know what they paid, probably not too much, but
I'll just check on that,
potentially it would have been lovely.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay, good.
especially for nonprofits.
I know.
that involve children.
Yeah, that, especially those kids, right?
Yeah.
When we hosted weddings at our farm, we required that people have us named as a beneficiary of, Yeah.
Sure.
and I don't remember any client ever having trouble getting that done with their insurance company at either no cost or very little. So
Mhm.
I don't think it's shouldn't be a big obstacle. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're required to go through the Vermont League of Cities and Towns Insurance because it's a town thing. But I'll check on that.
I think I was suggested to do that, I don't know if it was Corinne or, I mean, I called them first thinking it would be an easy fix, but it wasn't.
It's not.
I called my own insurance and they have other people.
Yeah, it's too bad because it's a really nice facility.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So my question is, so people who have weddings there or family gatherings, like
Yeah.
reunions, they have to have their
Yes.
own insurance.
Exactly.
And if there's alcohol, then it's gotta go before the select.
I knew that part, yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else on that, Mary Jo?
No, no,
Okay.
just a question.
Anything else with Ingalls?
I just wanna go back to the bathroom last one, and I just thought, had to stop when you were explaining how some of the children find it challenging to use the latch. I was wondering also from an accessibility perspective, I don't know if the inspector looked at that latch. Someone who also has,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, maybe,
Difficulties.
maybe something we need to think about, doing something different with the latches.
Yeah.
Well, it meets the requirements for the space and the distance. For handicap, the latch. I don't know if it's a thumb latch, if I remember.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Just knowing
Which-
many people.
it's not really a lever handle.
But for
Which is-
children, they might not understand how that works because it's pretty.
Well, I can look at putting a lever handle.
Just something to think about in the future. I
Yeah.
just had this thought when you
Yeah.
were mentioning the children sometimes.
Especially as the preschool, you know, they're still.
The same thing would apply to anyone with a,
Difficulty with their
yeah, motor skill
mobility.
issue.
Yeah.
One more thing with that, when I have been in there with kids, you know, we don't have a lock for the little kids, but it would be nice to have a high one. So that adults could lock themselves in there, cause you can't do that now, I mean. High,
Oh, just one of those slides?
you know, just, you know, or even just one of those hooking little things. So that you could be securely in there, and, you know,
You've got kids opening the door?
no, but no, I didn't. I know, I probably was sitting there saying, "Be occupied," because, yeah, occupied. No, I didn't,
Yeah,
but.
I
that's
haven't
a
heard-
I'll take a look at that, Mary.
But I haven't heard from any of the camp directors that that was a problem.
No, we haven't.
But on the other hand, I was there helping out one day and, you know, they have a director, an assistant director, and then a youth assistant there. So usually the director, I heard Colin ask the youth assistant to sort of follow the kid,
Mhm,
make sure that they come out on time,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Whether it's, you know, sort of keep an eye on kids in the bathroom because, you know, not only could they get stuck in there, but they could be, you know, running water, pulling toilet paper off the wall, that sort of.
into the toilet and plugging. it
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
But even when we have events with, you know, with not just necessarily kids,
Right.
it's nice to feel safe in there, is all I'm saying.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, anything else with Ingalls? Moving on to P-Lot. Okay, on the 19th, we had about 8 people show up to help clean up. I think we got an awful lot done. The next thing is the deer exclusion fencing. Scott?
Yep. Yeah, I did an estimate and I sent you a copy, Gene, but just for everybody else, it came in, what, around $1,800, wasn't it?
Yes. We talked about it.
What did you say, Scott? What number was that?
Um,
I didn't hear it.
1183, I think.
yeah,
it was.
1183.
Yeah, 1183.
$11.83.
I don't think so.
No.
Wishful thinking, yeah. So that's to do a fence that is the style of the guy from Purdue Extension that we got a video of, and John and I looked at it and thought it looked pretty good. So it saves us a good bit of money versus over the other fencing that we were talking about. And it raises one question of what do we say to the Audubon folks who are giving us $2,500? Do we build a bigger one, second one?
Scott, there's a clarification on this list. You say 10 T-posts at $869 each. Was that
Yeah.
100 or 10?
10. 'Cause
Then
we
it's
just
only,
we
it's
just
only
need-
$86, not $869.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
So
Even less.
that's a, $800 off of that amount.
Damn, I almost got away with it, John.
So give me that figure, please, John.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll fix it and send you a revised.
Well, as far as we do need to get a sign.
Yeah, everything else is fine. It's just that I just saw 10 T-posts. Now, I would go a few more T-posts just in case.
Okay.
But it's gonna be, $100 instead of $800.
Right.
I'm recording, so I don't want to use my calculator. So, but it's gonna be substantially less.
Yeah.
Probably $700 less. So we're talking in the $400, $500 range instead of $1,000.
And one question I had was, do we want to think about, well, I don't know, maybe we can do this, but those are 10-foot high T-posts, and it's gonna be an interesting job to set up a step ladder and get up there with the T-post banger. Put those in. So there's so much room in the budget, I wondered if we wanted to hire a little help to do some of those things, but that's just a thought.
Well,
Yeah, it's, 8-foot T-posts, but yeah, but you still have to get up there, right?
Yeah. And the top
10-foot
10
PVC
foot
pipe,
pieces
so,
of PVC, right.
got ladders. Oh, we can,
Who would we hire though?
who would you hire to do something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Chad do something?
Chad, maybe?
Yeah. He's got some young guys, I think.
Yeah,
We could ask him for an.
we can
estimate,
ask, yeah.
or if he's willing to do.
So let's leave it at the $1,000. Let's pre-approve up to $1,000
Well,
right
we've
now.
already pre-approved.
For how much? I read it earlier.
Yeah, one sec.
There you go. I found it.
Yeah, too much stuff on here. There it is. We had pre-approved up to $1,000 last June.
Okay.
Um,
Let's leave it at that.
Now, sign though, we need an informational sign.
Right. Yeah, I looked up the photograph I had of an enclosure and it was too specific to the location. So I've got to find some different language that is more generic or customizable to our situation, but I'll do that.
And I think the $1,000 would still cover that.
So we don't need a motion?
No,
One sec. So it'd probably be close to $200 for the sign and still would fit. Okay. So do we have to go back to Audubon with the $1,500?
That's a good question. I can call Pat and just check in with him and tell him where we're at. And see if we wanna roll it over and put up a second one next year, or one at,
Oh, that's-
yeah, or one at Ingalls next year, or, something like that.
That sounds good.
So, John, were you gonna check with Chad or?
I
should
can
we?
check with Chad. I gotta touch base with Chad about the rail bed anyway, and I have, and he's waiting for Joey Paquette's uh, pit to open.
When does it open?
It's open now, yeah. I talked to him last week.
I've got one of those T-post pounders.
So do I now. So
Fun,
we got a couple.
yeah. It's only,
Should we,
you know,
were you planning on going ahead and purchasing this
yeah,
materials?
I'm ready. If the committee is ready, we can go ahead and order everything,
We've already pre-approved up to 1,000, so
right?
Go
if
for
everyone's
it.
okay, green
Yeah.
light already.
Yeah,
Okay,
And then I think we need, nope, we already answered that. Never mind. Anything else with the fencing?
No.
Okay, trail mowing. Tim, were you interested in, you had mentioned to me you might be interested in doing that.
Sure, I've always mowed the front, trails. And Chip did the back trails, but I can do them both this year.
Do you want to do them both or not? Make sure.
I don't have a problem doing it. I mean, it's, kind of, when I'm mowing my property, I just keep on going.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Okay, for P-lots, we're actually getting low on brochures.
That's good to know.
I think we have a third of them left maybe, but they went pretty fast last year, so we do have a little extra money. I was gonna print some more.
yeah.
So I'm looking for a pre-approval on that. Let me just look. So the P-lots one would probably be $300 to $400 for printing.
I'll make a motion that we pre-approve $400
It's like
for
$425, just to keep some off.
425
Yeah.
for brochures, trail brochures for P-lots, or general brochures. Yeah.
Yeah, the P-lots one. And I had them fix a couple typos too that were in there, so.
Okay,
Okay. Did John get back to you with those?
Yep, I've got them.
Good. Good.
Okay, a second?
Michael
Did Michael
second.
second? Any other comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Terry last year put up "You Are Here" signs, which are the map with some arrows around the park, and she just laminated them because she was concerned that we would want to change a few things since we had just put all the stuff up in the park. Well, they're looking pretty sad, and I'm interested in getting permanent ones made. The
Do we have an idea for design?
well, I have them already.
Oh,
Because he had, John had made them and they're already been laminated and placed all over the park. We would just be replacing the laminated ones with metal
Metal
ones.
ones.
Yeah,
okay.
What's the?
One
what's your
second.
Estimate.
I should have marked these a little bit better. I would say that's probably gonna be around $900, because I think there's 5 signs.
And these are just the metal, where are they
It would
being?
be the map sign,
Oh,
basically.
the map sign. Okay.
Yeah, with a "You Are
Okay,
Here" with
all
the
right,
red
okay.
arrow.
Yeah,
What are the odds that we're gonna be changing the trail configurations in the future and have to replace these? Cause they're metal, so I mean. If we're gonna
So,
have changes in the next 2 or 3 years, do you just laminate some new ones for $50 or whatever?
so that's why we went with the laminates for this past year, but I think we're moving into a lockdown phase, I
Sure.
think is what
Okay,
This has been evolving for a couple of years, the trail designations and the plan and the mapping and all
and
that.
And
that's pretty
brochure.
set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, a motion? 8 to 900?
So moves.
Okay, thank you.
did you get a second? A second?
Mary-
Mary Jo.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, the railroad bed.
Chad is set, we've approved that amount, 30.
I think we went up a little bit higher than that.
I think we had
Just 'cause of the-
pre-approved 4,000.
Yeah,
And he is, set to do that, we've given him the okay.
okay,
And he was just waiting for the rain to stop and the pit to open.
so he would have to get his invoice in by the beginning of June for
I'll
this.
let him know that.
So we don't need a motion on this?
No,
No, we're pre-approved. I think it's like June 3rd or something.
Yeah.
Oh, if he goes over, it would be June 3rd. I think it's like the 12th if he comes in under that amount,
okay.
early June. Okay, anything else on P-Lot? Oh,
Yes,
dog rules.
I
yeah.
have,
That's-
I have, an item for discussion
Okay,
that was brought up to me by someone unrelated to this or the group, was that we think about renaming P-lots as the Chip Porter P-lots natural area. There's something to the
And.
Chip and Ann Porter or Chip Porter. Just for discussion, any thoughts?
I make a suggestion that we put that on the agenda for next time
Okay,
and give them a chance to think about it. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that's kind of, I just wanted to break the ice with it, yeah.
okay. And then there's one other thing, the dogs thing is happening again. Kathleen living next door is raising the fire alarms. Bernie put a sign up.
Yeah, the
No
sign's there.
dogs.
Is it still there?
It's
Yeah, it was there Saturday.
It's been, they've been destroyed. I
We
usually order
put
them by the.
Signs up, all the
So
time.
one thing that I was noticing, I was talking to Bernie and we're gonna put this on the agenda for next time, but everyone think about it. We have rule signs like all over the place. Can we have like one rule sign and we'll put it on the front and then we can put it at several places in the park that has everything? Cause I've run into, it isn't just the dogs. I've run into people going, oh, I didn't know they allowed hunting here. Well, it's there, but there's too many
Yeah,
rule
you
signs.
gotta kind of walk around the whole
To
kiosk.
figure out what
look
the
at
heck's
all of
going
the,
on.
and then those little.
The
The little
diagrams.
sign, diagram signs,
Should be taken.
you
down.
gotta
No
sit
one-
there and look at them for 10 minutes to figure out what they mean.
So I think we should get rid of all of those and just put up one and make copies of it and put it at several locations
These are
and
the
do it.
P-lots rules.
Exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And
That's-
do it at all sites, because to be fair, if I were getting out of my car at P-lots and just walking my dog right into the woods, I wouldn't have known what that diagram was, and I wouldn't have seen a no dog sign except for the one you just put up there, Bernie. So I think we need to be clearer than having a sign for this, a sign for this, a sign for this, a
Agreed.
sign for this.
So let's put it
So-
on the
Okay.
agenda
So
for
we'll
next
put it
week.
For next,
Should they even be at the kiosk? I mean, how many people even stop at that billboard? right?
Well, I
Should
think
they
we
just be, if we're gonna have
Right,
one single
trailhead.
rule sign that's like 8 by 11, right, should it just be
Right
on
at
a
the-
post at,
Oh, I
Well,
think
that's
it's
what we
better,
need.
bigger than that.
or whatever
No,
it is, but,
3 by 4.
you know, just like, like you physically have to
With
walk. by
letters
it,
this
well,
big.
so that's what I mean by making copies of it. So we'd put
Yeah.
one copy of it on the kiosk,
Okay.
one as you're entering the woods,
Right.
let's say, one in the back entrance, you know? So we would make one sign.
Yeah.
But make copies of it and have it at the different locations. That would be key. And do it at all 3 sites. So I'm gonna
Rules
put
would be a
it,
little different at all 3 sites. Oh, you mean,
yes, they are a
Yeah.
little bit different.
the rules are different at angles than P-lot.
They are, but just so it's crystal clear,
Yeah.
because you can't expect behavior change without really making sure they know what their behavior change should be, so.
Yeah, I get that a lot. At
Yeah.
schools. If I'm over there and they see me and I look at them drive down the road, I'm working in the garden, they've got dogs in the back, they see me, they turn around and they leave. Because they want to be there for their dog.
The dogs on leash.
Yeah.
All right, anything else with Pilots?
Just a note that the Green Mountain Audubon Society did hold their walk on
Oh, I've got
Saturday.
that later on the agenda. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right, footpath on the Island Line. Terry and I and Carrie from the Marina went over there on the 19th. There had been a ton of trash on the beach. Did you guys pick that up?
Well, no,
No, somebody did.
someone did. That was kind of.
And so when we went over there to pick up trash, it was only like half of what I
Oh.
expected.
That's
Somebody had
great.
been there and it was the bigger stuff that was gone.
That's good.
So,
I wonder if it was Carrie.
well, no,
Well, she
she would have said something because she was there with us.
Oh, okay, right.
Somebody did,
Someone-
cause I saw some big
That's good.
stuff over there, but anyway. And then we cut back a little bit down towards between where the Pilots beach is and our beach. We opened that up a little bit more too. The signs on the beach that we need the post for.
Yeah, and actually, Scott, if you can get a couple extra T-posts,
Yep,
so we can use them, they're heavy, a little heavier duty than what we had.
yeah.
I have the signs at home.
Okay,
But I was
Yeah.
wondering, I was there today and I was wondering if you
We
had.
need the heavy duty signs because the wind, I
Close,
think the
yeah.
wind just bent those, snapped those.
Oh, they did, it worried, those posts and,
Jean thought someone had cut them
I
off.
did, by the
But
way
they
it
were a
looked.
clean, like a clean
It
cut.
looked like a saw had gone through
But
that.
the sign was sort of like facing, northwest where all that horrendous wind comes through and. And over.
Okay, brochure, Scott.
Yep, coming along. We actually took the aerial photos this afternoon. So I should get those from John in the next day or so and do a last bit of art design with him. I think we probably have a couple of aerial shots we'd like to put in, so we just have to look at the brochure and then we'll be ready with a final proof.
great.
And we only stuck the drone in one tree, which resulted in me coming out of the woods with 4 or 5 ticks on me.
Oh,
Right, and I have trail signs. I think Terry was talking about just having like one sign at each
Yeah.
end and then a map sign, but that will wait until after the brochure. And Tim, mowing the footpath.
well, last year we had Chad mow it. And, he was assuming that he'll do that again this year.
Same
but
price,
Okay.
he told me.
for the same deal, when he's there doing, Cedar Valley.
Okay, but did Tim?
Well,
what do you
yeah,
think?
we talked a little bit, I talked a little bit with Carl, and Tracy seems to be pretty busy to get that on his, with his roadside mowing and everything. So I'll probably continue to press for that, but I don't think it's gonna be happening at this time.
John, what does Chad charge for mowing the footpath?
I can't remember,
It
do
was
you
the
remember?
same price as last year. He said it would be the same price.
I don't think I have that with me. I don't remember what it was.
I mean, I can do it. I mean, Chad is probably more regular. He's down in Cedar Vale all the time.
He's there every week, so, and he only does it if it needs it.
Yeah,
It was pretty reasonable, it was like $100 a shot or something like that.
I mean, if you're trying to save money, I can do it. I probably don't get down there as frequently as he does.
Well-
You're gonna be doing more mowing at Pilots.
Yeah, and it's wear and tear in your equipment too, and he's got his whole crew is there and they just run
Yeah,
up
I
and
know.
down.
He gets in there with 3 or 4 of those zero turn and They zip
Yeah.
around like crazy. It's up to you folks. I mean, I'm more than welcome to do it. It's a little bit of a distance out of my property, but it's kind of a pleasant job to do to mow that stretch.
I would recommend we have Chad do it just to kind of, you know, Tim, you're doing a lot of stuff and we're all doing a lot of stuff. And the more we can farm out, I think, the better. And that's an easy one.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree.
All right, was it like 85?
Can't remember how much.
It wasn't
he said
a
the same
whole
as
lot
last year.
per time. And
And it doesn't need many times. It's so shady in there that I
Right.
don't, you know, he's not doing it every week. I know that.
no, he wasn't doing it every week.
He'll do it when it needs it. That's what he said.
Can we pre-approve for June then? Cause he's pretty good on his billing.
Yeah.
So let's say $200 or
Yeah, I'd
so,
make a motion that we pre-approve Chad for mowing, initial mowing of the footpath,
up to
up to $200.
$200.
I'll second.
Any
I-
comments? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Let's finish this one. I just want to raise an issue.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Any opposed? Okay, motion carry.
I'm
Okay.
still in Florida. I won't be up until May 18th. But I will take care of those P-lots paths, both front and back, before Memorial Day.
Oh, great. Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, anything else with P-lots?
Our footpath.
I'm sorry, footpath. All right, toolboxes. I put brochures in there in a plastic container so that if anyone's at either of the sites and need
We
to
need
pull
to
them
fill
out,
them.
they're there. I had to get them out of my house, I had too much at my house. We're
We
gonna
should- we
put
should-
locks,
We
hooks and
should put
shelves.
the dog bags and stuff there too.
You have.
We
yeah,
have,
yeah.
we have.
Now, we haven't filled the one over in Ingalls yet. Those are still, the tools
No.
and stuff are still in the,
Right.
Ben,
and we couldn't find the lock.
I think I have another lock with that same key.
Okay. The one at P-lots is tough to use. You have to kind of jam it to get it to function. It's not very loose, but I don't know
I'll
if it-
check it out.
we'll have to,
Gene,
yes,
sorry, I have another board meeting in a couple of minutes. I'm
okay,
Stacking them up tonight, so I'm gonna have to excuse myself.
okay,
Everybody know, if there's anything you need of me, just let me know.
okay, thank you.
thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Nice seeing you all.
Nice seeing you too.
Okay, and we had put some money aside for new tools for the trail stewards at the suggestion of Terry and Scott. We got a couple pair of gloves that we put in there, tarp in there, and then Terry also suggested a couple of the heavier metal rakes, you know, for gravel and stuff like that. Anything else that we could use? I didn't think so. They
How about-
both
how
got
about a can of bug spray.
bug spray. Hey, can I get pre-approval up to $50 on bug spray and rakes?
So moved.
I second.
Who was that? Who made it?
Very good.
I made them,
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, and you seconded it, Mary Jo? Thank you.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, Scott and I sat in on the shoreline committee, which is a subcommittee of the select board, and they're looking to see if they can better assist getting funds to do stuff around town, which includes our two parks, Ingalls and P-lots. The two things that they were suggesting, and this needs a lot further discussion, I just wanted to raise it up so that everyone's aware of it, is the rain garden, potentially the rain garden at Ingles, which we've talked about. And then also they're concerned about the erosion on the Bayside route. So we sat in on one of their in one of their meetings just for information purposes, and they said they were gonna look into it a little bit further and get us feedback. There may be some component that requires measurement of phosphorus. Which I don't know how we can reduce phosphorus from, but anyway, we'll listen to see what they have to say. But anyway, that is ongoing. We'll probably hear a little bit more soon. Summer camp update.
Will they want to come to our committee meeting and present plans?
I think they're still trying to figure out which ways
Okay.
they're headed, and they're
Yeah.
trying to gather more information to see what the possibilities are, so I don't think they
Okay.
can help right now, but that's a good idea once they get a little more
Okay.
grounded. Hey, camp update?
Oh, we have nature camp, pre-K nature camp, and, swim camp are just about full. We have openings, nope, art is full as well. We have openings in kayak camp and pickleball camp. So what I'm working on now is, making sure that all the parents pay their fees. So I can confirm their kids in camp, because I keep telling them, your child does not have a place in camp unless you have paid your fee. We had 10 swim scholarships available, and 4 to 5 of them have been taken, which is great. And yeah, so it's on target here. In June, our camp directors will come and present their plans for their camps. And, I believe they each have a $300 budget.
Yep.
Right? And present their budget description. And then camp will be underway. So,
I have a question about the limit on the kids. Did Colleen change the
The
limit?
what on the?
The number of kids, the limit on the size of the camps? Did she change, because we always had 16 for nature camp, 12 always for preschool nature.
There
I'm
are
just-
16 in nature camp,
There are,
yeah,
okay,
even though the limit on the brochure
says 12,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
it's
I
sort
was
of got
just
away from
curious.
me.
yeah,
And then I asked Colleen, okay, if.
yeah,
you go up to
The kids are a
16,
little
she said,
older.
"Oh, yeah."
yeah, okay. I was just curious, I just
Mhm.
noticed it actually today at the library. I was looking through the brochure.
Yeah.
And do we need to replace those life jackets before kayak?
The kayaks, the life jackets that we have are good
Okay,
still.
But we do
We
need to
need
replace, we need some big, larger
Larger
sizes.
size, because it's
Okay.
like 8 to 11-year-olds, and sometimes in the past, we've had some.
We've had our own that were bigger.
We've had big 11-year-olds.
like
Yeah.
adult size. they
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, so, and we have in the past used our life jackets for that, so I think probably $200, something
I
like
think
that.
we had $400 in the budget,
Right.
so if we can pre-approve for 400, I'll order. And the ones we order are,
No, I'm gonna go to Costco.
oh, okay,
They've
well,
got good
yeah,
selection of life jackets.
okay,
Okay.
Do you need a motion?
Yep,
So moved.
Thank you, Nathan.
second,
Thank you, Evan.
For a
Any
30 pack
comment?
of Costco life jackets.
I don't know if they do that. Great, though.
Those,
Yeah.
okay,
Alright.
all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mary Jo, the tree event at
Okay,
the school.
So we went to school because on March 8th, we only had one child show up for the event. And I thought it would make sense to bring it because Chip put a lot of work into that and Caroline and so on the 17th. of March, April, 17th of April. We went, Chip and I went up, we brought all this stuff up and did every kid in the school, and it was great. I honestly could not have asked, the only thing I could have asked was more time. They gave us 45 minutes with each class, and we really needed an hour,
Oh, you
so.
wanted to each class individually?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, starting with preschool, which is interesting.
okay.
Preschool is something else. So it was really great. Not, one kid kind of moped in there and said they didn't want to do it. That I noticed, and my ears are pretty attuned to that with kids, and I was really glad we did it. It was nice. We had a little tree identification, and Chip made a matching thing, and the kids really worked hard at that, because I didn't give it. Well, we just gave them photos, and it was great. It was lovely. And so I'm wondering if we should think more about doing, although the kids are moving to a bigger school, so that's, I guess, a conversation for another time. So the school field trip, after some confusion, I think the PE teacher thought that June 2nd was the only day they could come, when I said it was the only day they couldn't come because of the cleaning, and he said he wasn't gonna come. And I thought, oh no, I said, this is the last time the kids can come, it's just their tiny school. I said, we don't have to do field trips, we can do hiking and, whatever, I could be persuaded to do a little tree identification on the trail. And so then I wrote to Amanda and said, the same thing, and she wrote to me and said that, he was confused or something, and he got back to me, so he thinks the second week of June. I have no date, but it's getting closer.
Oh, no date at all yet?
No, just the second week in
Okay.
June. So I'm gonna try to pin him down a little bit. He's really pretty good.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, I never went back to see how I worded it. I mean, it could have been my fault, but anyway, I got that cleared up. So when I was there on the 17th, having lunch with my granddaughter, Mary Ellen Hutchins, thank you, said, told me that she wanted to join the rec committee. And I said, well, we don't have any more seats, on the committee, but you can certainly volunteer. We take all the volunteers we can get. And she wanted to do that because she wants to make sure that some of the things that the kids love in the school are kept up. With going to the new school. They really, everybody's not really, what's that gonna look like? And no one really knows. And she said that, for instance, the Santa, the stuff we pay for anyway, give her the money for the Santa visit, the autumn thing, and, and they can use the gym. So I think really what it is just maybe support from us the same way, only maybe. I don't know if they'll ask for more money. I really don't know that. They're doing fundraising even now. So I told her that I would talk with you. I said, if you want to come to a board meeting, that would be fine, or I can just tell you, what you're thinking about. So, and then the other, from that, then I started thinking about, so what does next spring and fall, or fall and spring look like when we invite our kids to the camp? And, they're part of a different school now. I think I talked to you a little bit about, Jean, that, maybe we, donate one bus like we have in the past, or half a bus. One bus, don't we do one bus? And then maybe the, Grand Isle has to, PTYO, or someone has to come up with the rest of it. I don't know, and I have not gotten in touch with anybody from their rec committee, because I don't know who's on the Grand Isle rec committee. Maybe somebody can point me in that direction. But it just feels like this has worked so well, and the kids have loved it so much being there. I mean, they've been doing it, what, 10 years, I think, with Joe Restagini. And to stop that, it's just one of the things, the kids love it there, and anyway, so that's it.
It's
So,
such a unique park, and I think we do love being in
Yes,
the woods. And
yeah.
playing on the trail.
Yeah, and when if I see them again, even on the, on the streets of North Hero, they mention that, the kids
Yeah,
mention it.
That.
Um,
So I'm gonna suggest a couple of things. since the PTYO doesn't know what they're doing yet and whether they're merging or not, why don't we wait and see how that plays out this summer and then invite them or have a discussion with them to see how we work with them in the future once all the dust settles. Similar thing with the school, the principal there, maybe towards the beginning of next school year, we can get some time with the principal, or you can get some time with the principal. And I'm assuming it's different than Amanda. But whoever's the principal down there,
I've only met her once. I did meet her once, just once. I wanted to, I wanted to talk to her. I haven't, because I was just so upset about the way one meeting went. I was so upset.
well, why don't we wait until
I
like,
had to wait.
like July, August?
Yeah, I was thinking. this
After
summer.
she gets things under her belt too,
Yeah.
and then both the PTYO and the school, we can approach them and offer our assistance and see what they want to do.
Yeah, did you want both PTYOs represented here?
Well, I want to say, do they know they're merging yet or not? Are the
Well, I think they
PTYO
are, because I just got an email from, they're having their art and music thing next Wednesday, and they have had it at Grand Rapids.
So why don't we wait to see if they merge? If they haven't merged by, let's say, July or August, then we'll approach the North Hero one and talk to them to see how we can integrate in.
But what I was trying to say was that both of those PTYOs are working together for a bake sale.
Okay.
So at least they've, I thought that was a good sign.
Yep.
I'll talk to Mary Ellen, maybe I can.
Well, I would let it settle till they know what
Well, I
we're
just wanted to
dealing
tell
with.
her I've talked to
Okay,
you. Yeah.
okay. And then,
Just one of the note, Mary Ellen Hutchins, wants to, be a part of the rec committee. Well, anybody can come to the rec committee. You won't be a voting member, but
Right.
you'll still be present
Yeah.
and involved with everything that's going on.
mhm.
You don't have to be a voting member to be part of this.
Right.
And one
I'll tell
other
her that.
question I would have for her, did other things beyond what we were involved in with the kids, and is she looking for us to help sponsor any of those other types of events for the kids too?
I'll ask
You know
her
what I
that,
mean?
Yeah.
All of
She
these
mentioned-
things, Yeah.
Yeah,
she
beyond
mentioned
what we
a
already
couple of
do.
things.
Okay,
But, we already help out, so I don't know if she it sounded like she wanted to either make sure we would still be there for her, which we would, or if she wanted to expand upon it. They've got
Okay.
sleepovers there. They have a plant sale now hanging, they're still doing things, so I don't know what they're planning on doing,
okay,
or if they're just gonna put it in a pile with the new school. But I'll get in touch with, I think her name is Ashley, I don't know her last name.
okay.
The one down in, yeah.
Okay, and stepping back, can we pre-approve the bus for second week of June there? It depends if the bus driver has to go back to the mainland versus coming back. It could be up to $450. Last time it was about 180 because they just stayed locally.
Make a motion to pre-approve $500.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, Green Up Day recap.
I think it was very successful. So all together, we collected 161 bags of trash over the month of April. A lot of people started early. And lots of metal, right, Jane?
Mm-hmm.
Tires.
I saw your
15
stuff.
tires or something like that.
And that doesn't account for the bags that the state picked up.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so the state was picking up bags early, especially along Route 2, not the back roads,
And
but
how many tires did you say?
probably 8 plus
The 20, I told her about the
Oh,
I
20.
had two.
20, yeah, you had 2.
Boy, I didn't even put the 20 I dragged out of the woods in my property there. I've discovered quite the
Oh,
the
yeah.
array of goods
Ah.
in the woods.
Well, make sure you put them out.
Well, I've just been bringing them to the dump.
Yeah,
every week.
okay, next year.
Yeah.
We'll find.
Well, next year, I hope there aren't any left. This year.
Yeah, so,
Comment on is, the section that I did from, on Route 2,
You pulled all that stuff off the beach there, huh?
well, Jim Cantrell and myself, did that whole area. But on the west side of Route 2, on the, Savage Point Road side of Route 2,
Yeah,
there is still so much litter
Down the-
down in the.
down.
Way
water.
down there.
I couldn't,
I
I had to have
couldn't-
waiters to go in there.
yeah.
I mean, I was like amazed or like shocked, actually.
Shocked. It's
Perfect
shocking.
word, like how much stuff is down there.
Yeah,
So I don't know
That's
if there's a better time of year, like either the summer when the lake goes down or, but it's,
it's steep too. so
Yeah, there's an embankment,
Yeah.
but
I
it's,
would use my grabbers as far as I could reach.
yeah,
but it was too
Terry
dangerous.
also did,
Terry did a lot.
up from like Hibbard up to Birdland, and she commented also that on the west, or excuse me, the left side, that she couldn't get to stuff
Yeah,
also. 'cause
and
it's-
she also told me that she found an encampment on the east side, just north of Hibbert Point Road.
Wow,
That obviously someone was living there for a bit.
wow,
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's very weird.
But that's been a notorious strip. Like,
And
Bernie's been doing,
Route 2.
before they blocked off that pull off
Yeah.
there. There, it
Cat
was,
litter
it
and-
was
Yeah.
really bad.
I start in early April and I go from the Albert Bridge, or Harborside Market, and I do a little bit of Route 2. Couple miles every day, or every other day that it's not raining. But, so I had a pile of 23 bags at the
Oh my
bottom of my
gosh.
driveway.
Wow.
And we were out in our yard and I saw a truck back down. It was a small dump truck, black, and it had sort of a light on top that was circling. And I thought, oh, it's probably Carl picking up early because he knows I always
Oh.
have a big pile. And it wasn't Carl. Whoever it was loaded up this bag. And seriously, I checked with Carl, I checked with the state, I went down to the.
And
state
Tracy.
And Tracy, thinking maybe the town,
Yeah.
he had seen them as he
Yeah.
drove by. Those 3 people said, no, we didn't pick them up, and I'm like. That's the final count. Of my
Wow.
23 bags over the course of April, and it was just plus, metal, old drawers, things like that. But I cannot figure out who picked it up, it was so weird.
Wow.
You could see it from the road,
Yeah.
our driveway kind of comes
Anyway.
back down along the road a little bit.
Yeah, Route 2 is pretty disgusting, and then already I'm seeing stuff as I go by, and I'm like squeal to a stop, and like kick the side of the road because these people that throw things out there. Window make me really,
the other surprising thing, and I'm not, I wasn't really shocked by this, is that most people don't even slow down when they're on the road.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
they do not,
It's like,
yeah, it's like, you better have something bright on.
That might be a bit of a, because I was encouraged because most of the stuff that I picked up, I could tell had been there for years.
oh,
So I felt
Did you
like,
pick up on Route 2?
no, I picked up on like South End Road
Yeah.
and West Shore Road.
Not sure, right, yeah.
And I could tell it had been there for years. So I was like, okay, like, it's not gonna be there next year. So theoretically, there should be less stuff, right?
I
Like,
would hope so.
yeah, that was like my hope, that
I
I'm
thought
getting the
about
old
that,
stuff
Hunter.
out now. But,
And also the head of Green Up visited us on Green Up Day. Her name is Kate Albertini, and her
Mhm.
sister is the head of this Vermont State Parks.
oh,
And
okay.
she runs all of Vermont, Kate runs all of the Vermont Green Up Days, and she said she and her husband arrived, and she said they visit a different county
Mhm.
or town every year. And it was really nice to chat with her.
Mhm.
But I was talking to her that, like, when I used to teach the Green Up program had groups of artists that would come in and do presentations in school. I mean, one time a person came in and he had tied bits of garbage all over him, cans, and he came in and the kids were hysterical. And I asked her if that could continue again, because I think that the kids just are not being educated about littering. I see a certain kind of trash when I'm picking up litter on Route 2.
I also saw, right, I
You're
almost
right.
up on a goose egg,
Oh, wow.
Oh, where about?
right on Right, I was on the left
Oh, yeah.
side of the group. or
Was
the-
it
They
right
send
up
the
at the
nest
top?
right off the edge of the road.
It was like,
yeah.
and I mean, I was just, I saw something, you know, like some litter and I went to step, I'm like, what?
But it, and obviously was not being worn.
No, not at that moment.
It was an abandoned child. Okay.
My granddaughter found a sink in Isle of Wight.
Oh, what?
Sink?
A sink.
Oh, she must have.
I said, what did you do with the sink? And she said, it was over the cliff, so somebody else is gonna get it.
I have to show another picture. I
Okay.
found actually 3 of these, Phil Scott.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we gotta, I think we got a Brandon sign.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
I've been looking at that sign, Michael, thank you so much. Going all the way down that. street. Yeah,
All
you
right.
I think the state workers picked up.
But I noticed Sunday morning when I got up, I looked out my window, that all that was gone.
There was stone.
Yeah, they were out,
Yeah.
they were out picking up the stuff at my driveway at 9 o'clock.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, you mean Carl and Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe.
Yeah, yeah, there was like 3 guys in the
Uh-huh.
truck,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also like board
Yeah.
members, they do that every year, but the state workers picked it up too.
All right, pickleball.
I'm no longer president, right? You guys know
Yeah.
that. And, but I do have some limited knowledge. We got preliminary bids for Knights Point and we answered questions last week. Final, I think, are due like mid-May. And so by then we may be able to pick a contractor to build those 4 courts.
Great.
Probably not see them until the end of the summer, depending on what their schedule would be, but. So I saw the next piece was the portal arrangement for, North Hero Courts.
Yeah.
Budget $600 for that?
Since it's split over
Yeah.
what we put in is about 160 a month.
Okay.
Cause it's split over 2 fiscal years, and so I don't have it all in on one list.
I
But about
will,
160.
Charlie Dakar is the North Hero Court host this year, and I'll send him an email because he needs to contact the Isle of Mont. I can't remember the name of the Portalet outfit.
Complete
CFS.
septic.
Yeah, and typically they bill direct to Corinne. And I'll direct Charlie to do that and get going. And then also touch base with Amanda because we don't drop that until we run it by her.
Okay,
We usually have 2, we usually ask for 2. Is that correct, Jen?
No.
No, one,
one.
okay,
Yeah, only one at North Hero Courts.
okay.
We are doing again this year beginner lessons at North Hero Courts on Saturday mornings, starting in early June, and there'll be some intermediate drills also on the North Hero Courts, starting after school gets out.
When do you need the portalet? Last year, I think we had it
We-
start in May.
Mid-May.
May.
We try and get it there before Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
Those courts get filled pretty quick. But I'll reach out to Charlie and let Charlie carry the water on that and get that going. I'm not sure if he's aware of it.
Okay. All
Is there
right,
another subject, porta potty business in Isle of Wight? Is P&P up there?
I don't think.
No,
Yeah,
complete
yeah.
septic is
Is the
the,
only one? Cause I,
Complete septic we've been using them for years and they're great. We know exactly where to put, things and.
yeah.
okay. Events.
Mhm.
The Audubon Bird Walk on the 3rd was a big success. They had over 27 people. Plus some of their board members did that. They ended up splitting into 2 groups, and if you look across both groups, they identified 51 birds, I think it was. So that went really well. We already talked about the shrub planting and the garlic mustard, deer exclusion. We've hit most of that stuff on the calendar. Membership meetings, open meeting law, there was a training last week, but there's also training that's available on the Secretary of State site or back on BCLT. Mary Jo, you needed it this year?
I went. I
You
was
went?
there last week. yeah.
Okay, I have to find out from Scott. Bernie, you needed it this year?
No, Corinne said I didn't.
You were re-upped. This year, you were renewed, you were reappointed. You're supposed to do it on reappointment.
I think Scott was there.
And I need to check with Bonnie. It's every 3 years, or it's every year you're appointed,
sorry.
or at
Yeah,
least
yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, I'll check with Corinne.
Okay,
Did I miss all this? Bird Rocket, key lots?
I said that.
Distribution.
We did one.
This is just the calendar,
Okay.
so.
I don't know what to do.
And then she sent Corinne sent a email around about what looks like some adjustments to the rule.
Right.
I talked to her about it a little bit more, and I think we should have this at next meeting, not for this meeting, but I just wanted to bring up a couple points so everyone can think about it. She said she's had some discussions or further discussions with them. If you define some of the concern is having decisions made at a level that isn't the full committee. But what is a decision, you know, I mean, if we change the color to green on a font on a sign, that's a decision, but that seems ridiculous to have a committee level decision. So there's a couple ways that we could consider it. Well, first of all, is we can further define the responsibilities of the people on the committee, so they'd be free to do it as part of their role. And then the second thing we could do is come up with a kind of some, not little detailed information, but kind of big information that would define what requires a committee involvement on a decision. If I'm
Could
making
be if
sense, in
it's
other
not
words,
Fiduciary, if there's no money involved.
something like that, yeah. So I think we can do something like that where we further define it so that we don't have to have these subcommittees, because if you're going out to execute on a decision that the committee made, that's not part of it. But if you're out there deciding we need to do this, or this,
We'll put the
the
sign here
argument
or
is.
here.
Huh?
Put the sign here or
I
over here.
really, you know, that doesn't make any sense. So I think we could define roles and responsibilities a little bit better and probably have a discussion about what decision levels are required at a committee, and everything else people would be okay to make these decisions on their own without the committee having to say upfront. So I was gonna put that on the next agenda for a further discussion on that. 'Cause I think there's a way.
Do
we
you have
can
any,
do that.
examples from other committees that just have to be similar situations for other town committees as well?
Well, everybody's spinning on it a little bit.
And I think if, for example, if we were to use like the signs, right, that we're gonna put up with the rules, for example. I don't know why, for example, we couldn't just like as part of the vote, you know, like if you're gonna put the signs up. Say, you know, we're voting to approve signs to be placed in locations
To be
determined by.
determined, yeah.
determined by the
Exactly.
person, right? And just build it into each vote.
You can
you
also
know,
do it
and
with
then
the,
just very broad definitions of what we're approving to build in the necessary flexibility.
but you could also do it with the responsibility thing. So for example, John gets sent out a lot to do estimates on stuff, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that's a role that he has for the committee,
yeah,
right? And we just define it right up front, and you can
Yeah.
come back with your design and your estimates or something like
Mhm.
that. Maybe we could do something like that so that we wouldn't have to do it with every single thing. We could do blanket to pull us away from doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's worth a discussion in the future.
Yep. All right. Invoices and receipts. Bernie had an additional one. So Bernie gave a donation to Front Porch Forum because we use them to advertise for everything. We advertise the camps on there, we advertise our trail steward stuff on there. And so she thought it'd be best to give them a donation since we're getting essentially getting free advertising. So I have a receipt here for $104.75.
We need approval.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve that expenditure.
Second,
I'll second it.
any comments? All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The rest of them you got in your email that I sent you, so I'm gonna rattle them all off and then we'll just approve them all at once. So there was 3179. I bought, what did I buy? Oh, I bought a brochure holder for the brochures that are gonna be going into the foot bath. Then I also got the gloves that I had mentioned earlier, 2 women, 2 men size gloves. And I also got 2 tarps, and that was 62.40. And then I got plastic storage bins so that we can be putting the the gloves and also the brochures in the toolbox without them getting damaged or wet, and so that was 3709. There was also one for the work that Tracy did for the electrical. We had pre-approved for 800 and it's $900. So
Make a motion to approve those miscellaneous expenditures as well as the increase from 800 to 900.
a second,
Second.
any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Bye.
opposed? Okay, motion carries. So I sent around the status of the finances. We still have quite a bit money that we haven't spent because a lot of it will hopefully be with the cabin roof and also the pilots on there.
In the rail bed.
The rail bed, yep. Is there anything else that we need to pre-approve?
Could we, in advance, if it's anything that forward, pre-approve or dedicate those funds to go towards the fence?
I don't think we can do that anymore. We used to be able to pre-approve stuff. But the worst, we have to be it has to be invoiced.
It does have to be
Okay,
invoiced.
invoice.
Yeah, so the invoice has to be received by the last select board meeting, which is the middle of June.
Okay.
And if it's not pre-approved, it has to be for our meeting at the beginning of June.
And I don't think there's anything that's gonna fall into that.
Cause we're talking about quite a bit of money.
That's what my concern is. I don't want to,
What do we,
I'm wondering if like.
$1,700, is that?
So the current budget balance is around 1,600, but we've agreed to spend some of that money. But some of it we're also backing out of.
Right.
How much do you think we'll have left, Jane?
Well,
Yeah. I mean, you said it was 1,600, but didn't we?
16,000, sorry,
16, I was gonna say.
sorry.
Didn't we just vote to pre-approve like somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,600?
Misspoke. Some of these ones, let me see, maybe I could do a minus out here, so we're pulling,
I mean, what's the risk in not spending it if
it's gone.
it's gone?
Well, we can't carry it over.
I mean, if there's nothing that we have to spend money, if there's nothing that we want to spend money on.
Well, there is the time, the problem is the time. So if, with the list of the stuff that we want to spend money on, we would have, well, with some of the adjustments here, we'd probably have like $600-700 left. But it's the time.
Can we get all
factor.
this stuff spent? All this
Yeah.
Stuff done by then, and that's
Wait a
always the
How
dilemma.
do you go from
with
16,000 to 700?
So we've got $4,000 for the railroad bed. We've got 1,500, I think we're up to $2,000 on the roof.
Mhm.
Let me see what else. We have improvements to the no, I take that back. There's a few things we put on weight, $500, 1, 2, 5, 650, 1,650. So we'd probably have about $3,000 left. Sorry, not the 1,600, it'd be 3,000. So the difference is around 13,000 that we can probably spend, which is $4,000 for the railroad bed. We had put money on the fence. The North Hero School was $450.
You said we put money on the fence?
We had put money,
There's
that
$1,000 that we set aside.
we set aside, the puncheons were $500, we set aside, we're waiting on a couple other things that are a few $100s there. But the big ticket items is the cabin roof, the railroad bed, the fence repair.
Was that cabin roof cost just for the materials? Could we get a quote from Tracy to see what the labor would be?
Well, we'd have to have it done. The
Oh,
roof
we
would
have
be,
to
have
have
to
it
be
done.
completed,
That's
yeah.
what, so we can at least get the material there. And, you know, I can always order, extra pine. That we will use it, you know, for the walls and.
Yeah, we really don't know what that roof looks like underneath the shingles, though.
Well, you see it from the inside, it doesn't look too bad yet.
Doesn't look bad. Okay.
So we also still, I can't get Lisa, who did our trail signs at Ingalls, to charge us. So that's a bill that's outstanding. I've been sending her emails and she's not responding. I don't even know how to get a hold of her.
Do we have a gate someplace that we were looking to replace?
The fence with the gate on Ingalls.
Oh,
That's, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That includes the gate, okay.
And this money needs to be spent by when, June, the beginning? of June?
Well, it has to be really by the, well, if we pre-approve, it has to be by the middle of June. I have to have a physical invoice or receipt.
So the work doesn't have to be done, but we have to have the invoice. Is that the idea?
Yeah,
No, actually, you're supposed to be checking to make sure that it's
Well, I mean,
acceptable.
well,
Didn't we get
have-
in trouble
we
with
have to
that?
Actually have, is it just a matter of having the invoice in hand, or does the money have to be out the door?
It has to go through approval of the last select board meeting,
Okay,
which is in the middle of June.
I see. So if we have the invoices, but we know we're not actually gonna send the money out until August, that's insufficient.
That's next year's budget.
yeah. Then we ran into trouble with that one year, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Sounds like it is what it is then.
It is what it is. They used to let us carry it over if we had a plan for it.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping to have the footpath brochure ready now to get that printed, and between that and P-lots, that's another $1,000.
How much do you think, John, the fence would be?
Oh,
The ballpark?
be a couple $1,000.
Oh, okay.
Is it I'm trying to remember the last time I went there, it's that chain link fence, it doesn't encapsulate any specific area, it just separates that lawn from the road, right?
Oh, no, it turns the corner.
It does turn the
goes
corner.
up, yeah.
And there's
Well-
the other entrance there.
And there's a gate.
Consider.
There's a gate there, that's the fire exit when people park in there, so it's a area exit and. There's some areas down along the fence and, you know, it's hard to kind of repair a chain
Right,
link
they're
fence.
just gonna, it's easier to
Yeah,
rip
so
it
you
out.
just
but-
cut it off and you just put new fence up.
Yeah.
Gate is the important part.
And the gate's an important part, yeah. Well, I could call them, you know, this is also a busy time of year. Let me try to call them.
Okay.
I mean, they
See,
might be
one
able
of
to
the
do it.
things
They
that's
did fine
happening is
more
that,
earlier than expected.
Bernie has to take over, since Lauren has moved. We had set aside we had asked for $7,000 for her role.
Yeah.
I've been decreasing it since then, but now that she's no longer in town, Bernie ends up doing more work. So we actually have a lot of leftover in employee.
I wonder if we, so, put this out for, just for a moment, if we were to, for example, pre-approve up to, I'm making this up, $5,000. Or in the event that if you call them, they can do something quickly for the fencing at, Ingles. What do people think about that?
We could try to pre-approve it and then we have till middle of June.
If we have pre-approved it, we have until middle of June, yes.
So.
To get it
I'm
back.
just in the,
Doesn't do any harm
yeah,
to
okay.
pre-approve it.
Right.
So I'm gonna make a motion to pre-approve $5,000 related to the fencing and gate at Ingles.
Okay. I'll second that.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
I did.
John, I second this.
All right, thank you.